welcome back, listeners. Good to see you, Nico, online. Yesterday we met face to face in Helsinki. How are you today?
Yeah, absolutely. It was a great event yesterday we had, and today I'm coming to you live from my kids' room. I'm all good, but I'm here evacuated from other
I see.
duties.
Yeah. We might get some visitors maybe in this, or is she at a daycare now?
Yeah, let's see. The door is firmly shut, but you never know. You never know.
Nice. So we had a fantastic event yesterday in Helsinki where we had existing customers and contacts. It was the first of a kind that we did in Finland about enterprise AI agents. And let's talk about that event first. Some of the key takeaways, maybe from the discussions we've had, from the presentations we heard. Do you want to go first, or how should we do this?
Yeah, sure. I mean, for me, coming from the technical side of things, I was really good to hear, our CTO talk about the different kinds of AI agents, the technologies behind it, and so on. And I think what Antti said, was really great about how there's a difference between software systems and providers right now, whether they are AI focused in what they're doing or whether their product has AI more as an afterthought. And I just got to thinking that there are so many apps out there that I can think of right now where you have this small AI button or Copilot button that does something that you probably don't use at all, but it's just been added there for so that they can say there's AI in the solution. And I think that that's a really, really good point. And when you're looking at what are the kinds of solutions, applications that you can see flourishing in the next years and so, it's going to be the ones that are using AI in their core rather than as a side feature somehow.
Definitely. Yeah, and say maybe 6, 12 months ago, there was a lot of discussion if ChatGPT wrappers are like doomed dead when all the frontier models are developing underneath. But now the discussion seems to be that actually the GPT wrapper layer, the product layer on top, could be quite a flourishing business in the future for many entrepreneurs. And exactly as you said, you should bet for a product that only improves when the underlying models improve. So yeah, interesting discussion indeed. I agree. What struck me was the concept of infinitely scalable intelligence. Antti mentioned this a couple of times. Carly as well. Carly leads our strategy and also is head of region in UK and in Ireland. But Antti brought this up in his presentation as an example that imagine having perfect customer support every time at a fraction of the cost how it was built previously. And this concept of having endless PhD level or beyond level of intelligence just delivered from a server is quite mind blowing. So that was something that caught my attention yesterday. Any
Yeah,
other points?
yeah. I mean, I just agree with that. That, like we discussed last time already, we mentioned deep research a bit, and yeah, it's just going to make big waves on all fronts, really. If you're looking to do any kind of research on any kind of topics, you're going to go to that first and then see if there's something that you might have missed.
True. I upgraded to Pro, ChatGPT Pro last week, and I have to admit I have two accounts now. So I have not really used my Plus account since. So I've been using Deep Research extensively over the past week or so, and it is incredibly good. So the way I use it now is that I create the prompt with ChatGPT, and then using that prompt, then yeah, I'll just go on the deep research and it gives some questions that you want to answer back, and then it's to start the research. For me, it's been anything between like 5 minutes and maybe 20 minutes in total. But yeah, it is very, very valuable for sure.
Yeah, and you just leave it running in the background. You don't have to stare at the screen while it's going on and so on. So you don't have to focus on what's happening there.
Yeah.
And
We
and I
yeah yeah. Go ahead.
no, I just want to get back to the AI as an afterthought, because my thought after that was that if you look at these personal productivity tools, when organizations are going into or deciding to go into agents, and their answer to that is to open up Microsoft Copilot or Copilot Studio. And now we have agents, is the message. But to be fair, if that's a bottom up sort of approach into agentic AI, and yes, they are great for personal productivity, but they don't transform your business very much. They're just something that helps the individual people if they have the skills and knowledge to use those tools in the first place. Whereas if you take a top-down approach, you can go with the AI as a core mindset and do everything through AI, and then have humans and other automations support that process in that sense. So you think of it in a completely different manner. And that's also the kind of thinking that will allow you to flourish in the next years, much like in the software business.
Yeah, true, true. Let's talk about roles and evolving roles a little bit. Sam Altman, CEO of OpenAI, published on Sunday, last Sunday, a blog post, and in that blog post, he talked about a lot of things like the cost going down radically and many other things. But one that caught my attention was the description that he stated about, like, imagine a case of a software engineer agent. So quote, let's imagine the case of a software engineer agent, which is an agent that we expect to be particularly important. Imagine that this agent will eventually be capable of doing most things a software engineer at a top company with a few years of experience could do, for tasks up to a couple of days long. It will not have the biggest new ideas. It will require lots of human supervision and direction, and it will be great at some things, but surprisingly bad at others. Still, imagine it as a real but relatively junior virtual coworker. Now imagine thousands of them or million of them. Now imagine such agents in every field of knowledge work. And this takes me to other leaders, AI leaders who've been giving similar statements recently. Jensen Huang, Mark Zuckerberg, Salesforce, Klarna, they're all talking about like how engineers, the role of an engineer is changing, and how maybe mid-level engineers are not needed as much as before. So what are your thoughts on this one? What will happen to our roles, and what are the roles that we currently can maybe map around AI, and what do we know as of now?
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that springs to mind with that is that you have to reach the seniority level somehow, as we all need to do that somehow. How is that going to happen in the future if automations are handling the junior and mid-level roles? There's going to be a completely different way of gaining seniority in the future. And I don't know, maybe the answer is to just clone the people at some point so that you can have an endless supply of seniors, or clone their skills somehow with more AI, perhaps. Can you go back to the other question you had?
Yeah, maybe let's do so in a second, so we can look at the roles that we as of now identify emerging, and how the previous roles are maybe emerging. But I was thinking that let's actually take a look at some of the websites of some of the companies and what kind of roles they actually have open. What are the open positions these companies have just as of now? Because Klarna, they have been very vocal about they using AI as much as possible to replace many of the human roles, and I was curious to check out actually what kind of roles they have as of now. Just a second, bear with me. I'll just bring up the right screen, which should be maybe this one. Let's see. So we're now on klarna.com/careers, which is their website for their careers, their open positions. Let's move further. We'll go to job openings. And let's take a quick look what we have here. So we have senior full stack engineer, JavaScript, senior software engineer, JavaScript, delivery manager, integration consultant, final art designer, asset creation, final art studio, senior compliance specialist. I'm not going to read out loud all the positions because there are, let's see, how many do we have here? 30 jobs. But I noticed that they also had a position in marketing, because that's obviously similarly to software engineer that's been talked lot lately, what will happen to marketing roles, content creation roles. But from the Klarna website, I'll pick up AI creative specialist, where the role is about combining. This unique role is designed for an individual who's passionate about blending the art of design with the power of AI technology. As an AI creative specialist, you will be responsible for creating visually stunning and commercially effective imaginary using a combination of advanced AI tools and Adobe products. Your work will play a crucial role in shaping Klarna's brand identity and marketing campaigns. Yeah, so and maybe we can move on to another company that I follow closely is Sierra. They're also working in the AI agent space, focusing in customer service, in particular, creating their vertical customer service solution, and they are a cool company. And just to check out what kind of positions they have open. So they
Hmm.
also have agent engineering, a lot of agent engineering and agent development, also in engineering as a platform product, and marketing positions as well. So they have account-based marketing, campaign marketing manager, content marketer, events marketing lead, and marketing web producer, senior technical product marketer. So any thoughts on this? How do you see this phenomenon of roles?
Yeah, I mean, well, I'm surprised first of all to see that Klarna is looking for an internal person who's in charge of their design and branding, and especially focusing on AI type of solutions. I would think that's usually an external role, but I also wonder how many people are they replacing with that one role? Because it does usually you've needed a lot of people for branding and something like that. And now it might be that it's going to be the responsibility of that one person to come up with a lot of things, just create a bunch of prompts with these visualization AI tools and so on. But I think what it does say is that they've also woken up to the fact that this is the type of role you will need, that you can look for, that there are people out there who can already do this. And and it's like the work is changing, and these are some of the first clear signs that that's actually happening, just like it's been said that it's going to happen in the next however many months or years.
That's for sure. Let's switch to. I also went to see Google. Let's pick up. This is now Google careers, and we briefly talked about this, and you mentioned this as well. So I don't know. I don't have previous experience. I haven't checked their open positions previously, so I can't really compare. I could do a deep research. I haven't had the time to do that before recording this show, but if we go and check how many open positions they now have for all the degree levels out there. Um, okay, there we go. So 602 jobs matched for software engineer. That's what we have here in front of us for those listeners who can't see there from the screen. So yeah, so if we now take a selection of a PhD level, that brings us to 474
So
out
yeah,
of
yeah,
602.
yeah. So 75% of the jobs are for PhD level or higher,
Yeah,
which is quite a lot. Of course, this is probably Google's own quirk in what kind of people they want to hire and so on. But let's say if this was a common trend for the future, then we all would need to not just get bachelor's or master's, we'd also need to start getting PhDs just to be eligible for applying for early career level jobs. Because that's
yeah,
the one thing here. These are early career jobs, so many of them, but with a PhD requirement from the get
yeah.
go.
That's it. By the way, I had some locations there selected as well, which I had overlooked previously. Now I just removed all the locations as well, which it now gives me 716 jobs matched for software engineer. And if I now go with the PhD, then it gives me 543. I guess that's more or less the same ratio, isn't it?
Pretty much, yeah.
So yeah, yeah. But anyways, that's where we are. But maybe that has been the ratio at Google always. I don't know. I haven't checked this before, but it just made me curious to go and see what are the actual open positions that these big tech companies have as of now, because there's a lot of talk out there that what's going to happen to software engineers and marketeers and all sorts of knowledge work. But what we know for sure is that the roles will change and different skills will be required. And I think that takes us to maybe what we discussed yesterday as well. And again, I'm showing something from my screen. So for our listeners who are in audio only mode, so this is a slide where we have turned business process know-how into agents in minutes. And it describes the different concepts that we have here about writing instructions, connecting with apps, and then the actual work part. And now I'd like us to discuss this, Niko, from the role perspective. Who is doing what exactly if we look at this process? And also to mention that this is originally a slide from our partner Semaphore AI, and so it's something that they use as well. But yeah, go ahead, Niko. Can you explain who does what in this scenario?
Yeah, sure. So the starting from the left, the know-how and the instructions, that's the kind of thing that you need the line of business to participate in or be at the forefront, really. They do the majority of the work there because they know their business process best. So it needs to be written down in plain English with a certain level of detail so that the agents are able to understand what they are required to do in this role. But line of business probably isn't equipped to do it by themselves, especially at this point. We're so early on in the agentic journey globally. What you should use is and can use is your sort of AI business analysts who can help in digging out those details, help with the definition of the work, of the tasks that the agent is to be doing. And that's also going to require some level of prompt engineering to make sure that the agents will perform in the most optimal manner when performing this business process. Then in this picture we see here, there's action gallery, which refers to the connectors and actions that have been defined for the agent. And so depending on your tools, this is something that you might write in Python. There is API calls and API documentation and so on. And this is what you will need sort of automation engineers and let's say mid-level programmers for. I'm sure this is going to be an automated step at some point. If mid-level engineers can be replaced, then this can be automated as well. I know there are some tools that already allow you to do that actually. And finally, those things combined, the know-how, the instructions, and these actions and connections are what combined to be an agent. And this agent is then working in conjunction with humans within that business process. And there needs to be then this line of business users who work with the agent. So in collaboration, one way or another, depending on the business process, there's a different distribution of responsibilities between these when the agents come into play. And it's really important to be transparent about how these responsibilities will change. What's expected of the humans, what's expected of the agents, to really be able to get the most out of this collaboration.
Well put. Yeah. And last time we discussed about different dimensions when talking about different types of agents, and the level of autonomy was one of the dimension we spend quite a lot of time on. And there are talks now all over that all the agents or many of the agents are fully autonomous, but that's not the case yet. They will be likely and more autonomous as we go for sure. But we know, like Nico just describes, that there is level of human involvement that's going to be needed, and that we can also see from the emerging roles out there. So the open positions, if you go through many of the open positions nowadays, so we'll be needing humans to set goals, for the agents to plan what we're doing with the agents, also oversee the execution phase, then improving as we go and analyzing. So connecting to different data sources, defining actions, setting guardrails, and so forth. So I think we'll have roles in the future for us humans too, but it's definitely emerging. And I honestly see a future ahead of me where I'll be leading a team of humans and agents working with me on different tasks and different processes, because it just makes a lot of sense to use AI agents and LLMs in certain types of tasks, but then we're going to be needing human involvement in the future as well, managing, overseeing, and guiding. And maybe at some point, maybe in one of the future episodes, we could talk about the skills that are required from us humans going forward, and what can different research that has been published lately tell us about these different skills. And I think that's an interesting discussion point as well. But
Yeah.
any other takes on that?
No, I mean, well, I guess, well, coming back to what I speculated on earlier, what is going to be the new way of reaching seniority in a role if the low-level jobs are AI powered,
Mm,
almost fully AI powered, probably at that point? Will we have juniors shadowing LLM powered solutions, or is there going to be a split between 10 agents and a couple of juniors so that humans can also evolve in these roles through time and then reach that seniority? Or will probably probably the answer is going to be something that we just cannot imagine right now. So
mm,
no amount of
yeah,
speculation will get to the right answer, but we can always speculate because that's fun.
yeah, that's true. That's true. Any final comments or remarks about yesterday or what you have learned this week in AI and AI agents? Anything you want to bring up to us and listeners?
Yeah, I guess from yesterday's event, one thing that was was clear to me already, but I think what became clear to the participants there as well is that you don't have to build these things completely from scratch. You don't have to tie your IT resources into figuring out how this stuff works and so on. When you have your use case, you have your management mandate to work on it. The IT hurdles are much easier to overcome, and it's much easier to find the budget to overcome those things. So the AI doesn't AI the IT doesn't have to struggle with trying to get something out of the door. And I think it's just going to require more and more emphasis on the use case to get these things really going. And I'm really hoping that companies and individuals start to see that if you want to get the most out of this, you have to go use case first. It has to be an impactful use case, not just
Mm,
somebody's task that saves them 10 minutes per day.
mm, true, true. Let's focus on use cases in one of the future episodes as well, because we have a framework and we have a workshop that we're offering as well to identify the use cases, but we can share some of the concepts and thinking behind to help our listeners to identify good use cases as well. Maybe what Carly brings up quite often is that these LLMs and AI agents allow you to discuss with your data. So in using English language, you can talk with your data, and that is and we have previously with like machine learning projects and earlier AI projects that were not LLM driven, they were quite like black box in a way, and you couldn't really in that sense discuss with your data. You had to do it differently. But now the mindset is that you don't have to have data in perfect form and shape, but you can use your data almost as it is. Of course, if you have data in a good shape, that's always an advantage and will allow you to do things differently as well. But still, with the LLMs, you can pretty much use the data as it is and do the use case. So that's a great concept to maybe leave this conversation with. So
Yeah. I mean, I'll just have to add to that. So
Yeah, go ahead.
before I went into process automation, so this was over 10 years ago, I was running SQL queries to generate custom reports that came from line of business people, and they were always very complex to do because the database was such a horrible mess. There was no clear logic in how things were named, where to find the pieces of information. So you basically had to manually go through loads and loads of database tables to even find what you might be looking for, and
Yeah,
then figure out the query to pull all those things together, join the tables, and get a decent report out of them. All this is so different right now because you can
yeah,
just get an LLM powered agent and discuss with it, like you said. That would have
that's
made
it.
my job so much easier 10 years ago.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Well, let's finish with that this time. Thanks again for listening in. If you have any ideas for points that you want us to discuss or bring up here in this podcast, please do reach out to us using LinkedIn or email or whatever channels you use. And yeah, and a reminder as well, if you haven't checked out our agentacademy.ai, there's a course understanding agentic AI, which is free of charge. That will give you the basic concepts and an introduction to the topic of enterprise AI agents. But I think that's it all for now. Thank you so much, Nico, again, and have
Thank
a
you.
great day all. Thanks. Talk to you soon.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.